We have Minister Fedeli, the Ontario Minister of the Economic Development. Minister Fedeli, how are you this morning?
I'm fine. How are you this morning, Greg?
You know, I am thrilled. I am excited. I am nervous because I want to do justice to to you coming on the show and to also all my listeners that have so many questions today that hopefully you're going to be able to shed some light on.
Perfect.
The number one question, and I would be remiss if I don't mention this to you, this COVID, this pandemic is quite possibly one of the worst times to be in office, but also it represents a great opportunity. How do you see the recovery of small businesses around Ontario? Because I mean, this is sent thousands of business out of business. You know, what is the plan? I mean, where do you see this going?
Well, a couple of things, Greg. First of all, thanks for having me on. Premier Ford yesterday launched the Ontario Small Business Support Grant, and we've had 5,000 businesses already sign up. This is going to be some supports for these businesses, a minimum. These are the businesses that either had to close or were really significantly restricted under this law, under the shutdown. You're entitled to between a minimum of $10,000 up to $20,000 if you've had a revenue decline of 20% in the last year. So there's some details to follow, but this is really an opportunity for the business community to sign up and have some genuine cash relief in their hand. Yes, there is a combined federal-provincial suite of programs. 95% of your rent can be paid, 75% of your employees can be paid, and now this up to $20,000 cash injection is here. But also, if I can take another second,
of course,
those businesses that are affected can go on that same ontario.ca/COVID support, and they will find that their electricity bill, every day that they are in this restriction or closed, their electricity bill will be rebated 100%. Their energy bill, that's natural gas or propane or whatever you're using, will be rebated. 100% of your local property taxes will be rebated. Those are programs they can apply for. That's big when you've got your rent, employees, a percentage, your taxes paid, your hydro paid, your heat paid, $20,000 in cash, up to $20,000. This is a non-repayable grant. This is the kind of support. This is what Premier Ford, lifelong entrepreneur, believes that we need, and this is what our cabinet, and this is the support from our caucus, that we believe so much in small business. We know that this is what they need to get them through.
So, on that basis, and I mean, this is great news. Are there any qualifiers? Because one of the challenges that we had in the past was that there were some specific KPIs that you needed to meet in order for you to qualify as a small business for this grant. Are there any qualifiers that we have right now?
There's a couple, but these are not onerous. So when you go on that website, you'll see the first question they want to know: do you have under 100 employees? So that's what this is for. This is small business. So it's under 100 employees. And what they're going to ask you to do is plug in your revenue from April 2019 and then plug in your revenue from April 2020, because we were shut down in April 2020.
Absolutely.
And so that'll give you the two sort of anchors. And if you've had a 20% decline in revenue from those two dates, then you're in. You get a minimum right then, $10,000, and then depending on the loss of revenue, will scale you up to a maximum of $20,000. Now, if there are businesses who just opened, we'll take you too. There's another place for you to go. If you're a seasonal business and you say, well, I wasn't open in April 2019 or April 2020, I'm a ski hill, then we've got another place for you in that website. If you're a sole proprietor, a one-person shop, you click on where they ask you to put your Canada revenue number. You don't have one because you're a proprietorship. This will click you over to the next website, the federal website, to allow you to get a number for this use. That's going to add 24 hours to this, by the way, that part of it. But this is as simplistic and as business and user-friendly as you're ever going to find for a grant of up to $20,000.
That is fascinating, and we have Premier Doug Ford that's joined us on the line. Doug, good morning.
Good morning, Greg, and thanks so much for having myself and Vic on this morning.
I think these are fascinating and timely news. I had no idea that this new program had been taken in effect. And one of the reasons why I say this, Doug, is because, as you probably heard, you listen to the show all the time, I'm involved in the fitness and martial arts industry as well as I am in the car industry. And this pandemic has decimated martial arts schools around Southern Ontario and fitness facilities around Southern Ontario. This is a tremendous accomplishment. How did you guys arrive to this?
Well, what we did, we number one, we listened to the business folks. And I got to go back to our background, be it yours, Greg being a business person, Vic owning his own company, being a business person, myself being a business person. That's the way we think. My heart breaks for these small business owners that are struggling day in and day out. And as I said from the beginning of this pandemic to the people of Ontario and our cabinet, that we will not spare one penny in making sure that we support small business folks right across this province and different types of grant. The grant that Vic was saying, up to $20,000, or support for their rent or their electricity costs or their taxes or their wages that they have to pay. We're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this to make sure that once we get through it, and we will get through it, and we need a bridge to April per se, as I always say, until we get mass vaccinations out there, we're there for you, and we're always going to be there for you. But I can assure the people of Ontario, as it was a year ago, before this pandemic, and by the way, I got to compliment Vic. I'll tell you, when you talk about someone driving businesses in Ontario, there's no better Minister of Economic Development, job creation, than Vic Fedeli. And I'm not saying it because he's on the line. I'll say it all day long. I'll say it in front of my cabinet. We have, before this pandemic, we were leading North America in job creation, economic development, anywhere in North America. And I have confidence in the people of Ontario and the business owners. We'll be back at number one as soon as we get through this pandemic.